Oppression. This is the only word that I can think of when it comes to playing with this deck. Gaiomon has many amazing abilities that can really pressure your opponent and make a phenomenal upgrade to Black War Greymon. In today's Meta Monday episode, I cover the Tier 1 Oppression Gaiomon deck. With X-Record dropping officially this last weekend, this was the first deck I wanted to build. But before even diving into this build, if you clicked on this video with the notion that this is Tier 1, I wanted to apologize for the clickbait title and photo in advance, for the fact that I did this as a social experiment to determine whether it truly makes a difference in the algorithm game on YouTube. But if you enjoy these Meta Monday deck profiles, do consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for more future deck profiles. As always, I'll go over the card by card, the strengths, the weaknesses, and the combos. This deck runs 5 level 2s, 13 level 3s, 11 level 4s, 8 level 5s, 6 level 6s, 2 level 7s, 4 option cards, and 6 tamers. For level 2s, this deck runs 4 Gaiomon and 1 BT9 Gaiomon. Gaiomon is again my preference for Gaiomon decks over the Gaiomon. And the reasoning is, even though you have many ways to search for your Digimon with Agumon, Hawkmon, and Maki Himekawa, you still run the risk of occasionally bricking with a low-level rookie count. If you can potentially draw deeper into your pieces, it would greatly help you. BT9 Gaiomon simply provides DP buffs whether you're a Greymon or Agumon. And while BT5 Gaiomon could have been another option here, I feel BT5 Gaiomon is better for a pure tribal Greymon aspect. But in that regard, I value card draw over DP. For level 3s, this deck runs 3 BT8 Agumon, 4 BT9 TIER1, 3 Hawkmon, and 3 Promo Agumon. BT8 Agumon helps you add a Greymon, Digimon, and Dragonkin to your hand. Which of your level 4s, 7 out of 11 meet the criteria of Greymon or Dragonkin. 4 out of 8 meet the criteria of the level 5s, and all of your level 6s count as Greymon or Dragonkin Digimon. Statistically, you have a good chance to add off this effect. With TIER1, this Digimon is searchable off Maki Himekawa and provides DP buffs if you're a multicolored Digimon. Hawkmon does realistically the same thing as Agumon, but only adds 1 2-color Digimon with red in it off the top. Which means that out of your entire deck of 50 cards, 19 cards are 2-colored red Digimon. And lastly, 3 Promo Agumons for the extra DP buff. I run this over BT5 Agumon for the fact that I already have enough searching and draw power. This Agumon can also be recycled by Chimeraemon for future use. For level 4s, this deck runs 11 in the form of 4 BT8 Greymon, 4 Promo Deltamon, and 3 Cyclonemon. Greymon is a mandatory 4 for the fact that he gives inheritable blocker if you have a red Digimon on the field. With all of your Digimon level 5 and 6, this prevents your opponent from swinging for game. Plus Gaiomon himself gets reboot. With Deltamon, this card is the MVP of MVPs of the deck. Despite being a 3 cost to Digivolve into, this Digimon can have a Digivolution cost of 2 in conjunction with Maki Himekawa. But do keep in mind, you have to be out of the rays when you do this. Deltamon also has an amazing effect that lets you reduce a cost into a Digimon with Composite, i.e. Chimeraemon, or a Digimon with multiple colors by 2 memory. Effectively, this makes all of your level 5 Digimon cost only 2. Again, combining with Maki Himekawa, it just gets cheaper. The last level 4 you run in this deck is Cyclonemon, and the main reasons are, it's searchable of Hawkmon or BT8 Agumon for being a Dragonkin. While you could run Monochromon from BT9, it's neither a Dragonkin nor a Greymon. But if I were to, I might run it as a one-of and do 2 Cyclonemons instead. For level 5s, this deck runs 4 BT8 Metal Greymon, 2 Chimeraemon, and 2 BT9 Megadramon. BT8 Metal Greymon is the MVP of the level 5s, providing control elements against your opponent, while also allowing you to attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. Keep in mind, everything in your top end is Dragonkin Digimon, which makes it easy to delete many things. Chimeraemon helps you recycle your blockers, and also any other level 5 or lower Digimon that you might need. Playing against hybrid decks? Megadramon. Playing against stuff you need to beat over but it reboots? Metal Greymon. Megadramon is the last level 5 in the deck, and with hybrids being slapped on the wrist left and right, I only think 2 copies are needed at this time. When digivolving into this Digimon, you can delete a 3-cost Tamer. When attacking, you do the same thing. Even though the memory cost to digivolve into this Digimon is high, you have Deltamon to reduce it. There aren't any other level 5s I suggest, because these are the main heavy hitters and piercing isn't necessary anymore. For level 6s, this deck runs 3 Black War Greymon from BT8 and 3 Gaiomon. As I've been playtesting the deck more and more, I really like Gaiomon that I might max him to 4. But Black War Greymon is equally clean to use in this build. Black War Greymon when digivolving lets you delete Tamers if you have a black source underneath it, and or Digimon if you have a red source underneath it, of play costs that total 6 or less. On all turns, if an opponent's Digimon is deleted, unsuspend this Digimon. Meaning if you have a blocker Greymon and this Digimon's sources and your opponent swings and is deleted, you can restand Black War Greymon for a block. Gaiomon on the other hand is treated as a Greymon card, has security attack +1, and reboot. When digivolving, if you have a black source underneath it, de-digivolve 1. And if you have a red source underneath it, blitz. Gaiomon brings a lot of trouble to decks for its utility with board control, which I'll go over in the combos. For level 7s, this deck runs 2 strictly in the form of 1 Omnimon's Warp Defeat and 1 Omnimon X-Antibody. Omnimon's Warp Defeat adds another form of Tamer removal and surprise factor if it's checked into security. On top of that, you can digivolve this Digimon into an Omnimon X-Antibody for the lower cost instead of paying the full 6. Omnimon X-Antibody adds some form of removal and battle negation. And while all of these level 7s are great value, Death Xmon was another possible contender in the mix as a one-of. Ultimately, I went with the Tamer hate strategy for the time being if hybrids continue to make big waves. Moving to option cards, this deck runs 4 in the form of 2 Ultimate Flare and 2 Kongu. Ultimate Flare is still going to be a very valuable card in today's meta. With the fact that players will commit to larger stacks with X-Antibody, you can downgrade them enough that you can simply swing over it with Gaiomon. Kongu, likewise, assists with protecting yourself and the prevention of recovery if you manage to get a yellow deck down to 0. And against hybrid decks, this prevents the hybrid for game situation. Substitution-wise, there are other option cards out there that I thought would be amazing. Iron Fisted Onslaught, or even Atomic Megalo Blaster. Heck, even Gaia Force and or Dark Gaia Force. Dark Gaia Force is currently on my radar to test for the fact that you consistently have the color sources necessary to play this card. The only Digimon it whiffs on in this format is Death Xmon, but so does Ultimate Flare. Moving to Tamers, this deck runs 6 in the form of 3 Hero Amanakawa and 3 Maki Himakawa. Hero is still the best Tamer for this deck for the fact that you can pump your Digimon by another 2000 DP with its suspend effect if your Digimon is level 5 or higher. Maki on play lets you search the top 3 cards for a Tapiramon and 1 2-colored Digimon that has black in it. But its best effect lets you suspend it to reduce the memory cost of a Digivolution by 1 for those 2-colored Digimon. Both Tamers help provide you the stable color sources should you go into the Dark Gaia Force route. As for strengths and weaknesses, this deck is definitely a tempo control deck that wants to go second. While going first isn't bad, this is a potential weakness. The average Digivolution cost that you'll give to your opponent is typically 3. Whether you're playing Maki Himakawa, a Searcher, or digivolving into Deltamon to start your big plays. In playtesting, going second always helps in that you can prevent your opponent from climbing to a quick level 5 and keep them in the raise. In some matchups, Black War Greymon may not necessarily be a safe swing going into security because it matches a lot of DP baselines of X-Antibody Digimon. This is where you may swap the level 2s from Gurimon to BT9 Koromon. For strengths, this deck has amazing control elements whether you're going for Tamer destruction or keeping your opponent's Digimon off the board. For combos, this deck can be as simple as sitting in the raise, going from Baby to preferably a promo Agumon or Tapiramon. Deltamon is guaranteed a memory choke to 1 if you went second and your opponent passed you 2 memory going to a level 4. But next turn, should they push out and play a Tamer, you have a wide variety of options. Number 1, Metal Greymon could de-digivolve said Digimon and pop it as a rookie. Or, number 2, Megadramon can come out and pop a Tamer if it was 3 cost or less. In regard to either option, Deltamon reduces the memory for these Digimon by 2. Unfortunately, if your opponent has Gaussmon, Sayakomon, or Cutemon, this reduction doesn't work, and Metal Greymon doesn't actually pop it until it's actually on the battlefield. Regardless, Metal Greymon can pop their board, and then you're left with potentially 1 or 0 memory left for your turn. A Black War Greymon play could eliminate their Tamer they just played. Or if you're feeling aggressive, go into Gaiomon. There are a lot of plays with this deck that are very flexible and control-oriented. But in regard to best and Tier 1 decks, leave a comment below in regard to them with the number 5 in it, and you'll get 5 extra entries for the next giveaway because of this social experiment. 2,000 subscribers is coming up fast, and I have more goodies in store for my viewers. And if controlling the board is more your style before you aggressively check the security, Gaiomon Oppression is definitely the deck for you. What are your thoughts on this deck profile, my 1 tech choices, and options? There are a wide variety of ways to build this deck, but personally this is my favorite way so far. This is Digi-Panda, logging out.